Welcome back. So let's put all these layers together and finish up. So we've got CCIP, which is continuously calculated impact point, CCRP, which is continuously calculated release point. Now the difference is we're calculating an impact point with CCIP, so it'll give you a little pipper calculating your airspeed, high altitude, angle, attitude, terrain data. It'll tell you where it expects your rounds to land or your bombs to land, which you can use either dumb bombs or smart bombs, depending on how you set it up. Generally that's used in a dive or really low altitude dropping munitions. CCRP is a continuously calculated release point. Now up at the top here I've got a Ccrp window. Basically your flight computer or weapons computer, whichever one that does it, will calculate a window of where to release your bomb, where to pickle, and using either the GPS like your JDAM or using the laser guided munitions, it'll give you a window which will give you give the bomb enough time to correct itself and land on target. Now using the TGP, which is the electro-optical pod, which will give you a TV screen, forward-looking infrared, black hot, white hot, all that kind of stuff, you can mark a little spot, a SPI, which is a center point of interest. We'll get into that a little bit later, but we're just opening up more cans of worms as we're closing other cans of worms. So the TGP is set as SOI, which is the sensor of interest, which gives you the ability to use your HOTAS controls to set a SPI, so that'll be on your target. Now, as we discussed before with the laser, you don't want to aim through the target, you want to put the laser at the bottom, that kind of thing. Otherwise you'll miss as you fly over, that kind of thing. Then the CCRP window comes up. It gives you a little bit of a countdown, counts to 0 generally when it hits 6 seconds. You pickle, you hold that button in, 6 seconds turns to 0 seconds and it releases. Now the bomb itself with the laser will correct its flight twice during its fall. Not sure when or how. GPS, I'm not sure how many, like the JDAM, I don't know how many times it corrects its flight, but I know with the laser guided it will only correct twice. Now fuses, that's the last bit that we need to move on to, because there's no point in dropping a bomb if it's not going to go off. Now some bombs are automatically armed, they're going to go off anyway with the A10, but I know that in the Harrier and the Hornet you need to set the fuse. Now generally there's 2 fuses I've come across. I've not seen from memory any that have more than 2. The nose fuse is generally the explosive. If you don't arm that, it's just going to go ping and bounce off whatever you're dropping it on. The tail is generally used for parachute. Now when we looked at the cluster munitions before, those settings were actually fuses, which is the height of function, the RPM, they're fuses. So depending on the aircraft that you're in, the menu options will take you into where the fuse section is, and then you can set those as you like. But basically you can't do that in real life as far as I'm aware, unless things have changed. In real life you were pretty much at the mercy of the ground crew because everything was pre-planned, so you had to know what it is you were doing. Those fuses were set on the ground. That's what you've got to work with. But I'm assuming for entertainment purposes we can change it in the air, and I guess that makes it definitely makes the roles more dynamic and more fun because you can change things around. Excuse me. Now when it comes to the CCIP and CCRP mode, you can release a ton of weapons in both of those different modes. Some of them don't work, but take for instance the rockets. You can release rockets in CCRP mode. Now they're very ineffective. They spread out. They're not guaranteed to land where you want them to, but basically there'll be another pipper that pops up, which is your target. It'll count down to 0. You point your rocket release at that that pipper, and assuming everything's been entered correctly, the flight computer will try and get you to release those rockets to get them to land where you want, without directly pointing at them. Now, I do have a tutorial on how to do that with illumination rounds. Now, I don't know why you would do that on a multiplayer server. I mean, they're really fun to play with, to be honest, because you can set waypoints and use CCRP for the rockets and illuminate the ground where you want to, but I don't know if it'll ever be of use in any kind of multiplayer or anything. It might do it one day. I mean, it might be, but it's still fun to play with. But now we move on. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.